Hello there. In 6 minutes today, I'm going to give you a radically different explanation for the cost of living crisis. It isn't profiteering by coals and bullies. Labor and liberals blame each other. They are both to blame, in fact. And while some politicians demonize immigrants, they're not to blame either. Only one political party in Australia has truly understood the cost of living crisis. And that's the Libertarian Party, whom I represent for the seat of Barton in New South Wales for the House of Reps. I am dead sure of this diagnosis, so dead sure that right now here I am issuing a challenge to Dr. Philip Lowe, the former governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia, to an Oxford-style debate, venue to be determined by him. And I'll argue that the Reserve Bank deserves to be dissolved completely. I'll argue that Australia should go back to a gold standard, which is what we had more than 100 years ago, and dispense with the whole crazy idea of monetary policy. Now, my friends, I want to note down first, what is the price of a large cup of coffee? Back in 1975, the tables tell us it was around 60 cents. In 2000, I remember, it was $2 for a medium-sized cappuccino. 2020, just before the pandemic, you might remember it was $4. Now, this size is $6. And it's not just coffee, obviously. House prices have skyrocketed, rentals have shot up, beer, fish and chips, cinema tickets, everything is way higher than it was 50 years ago. Right? And it need not be so. This is the result of the largest ever, longest running scientific scam of all time. Now, why should rising prices be a scientific scam? Is because the majority of economists, especially all of them in the government employ, are telling you that a little bit of inflation is good for the economy. That is manifestly absurd. Let me give you the example of the United Kingdom. For 100 years, from 1814 to 1940, the United Kingdom had spectacular rates of economic growth, particularly before the period when they started introducing tariffs. The economy was largely free. Same happened in the United States. And the UK's prices in 1914 were less than they were in 1814. The United States was about even. Why? Because they were on metallic standards. The United Kingdom was on a gold standard. On a proper gold standard, the dollar or the pound is a unit of weight. Now we know the pound is a unit of weight. The dollar in the United States in 1900, when they passed the Gold Coinage Act of 1900, was 1.37 grams. If we were still on that kind of a standard, the Australian dollar, would have been about 1 gram. What is it today? Just over 5 milligrams. So that's a 200 times devaluation over 125 years. The US dollar devaluation is 160 times. You won't see it if you look at the CPI tables, because there is productivity in the economy, the output is growing, and that masks the real devaluation. The tables will tell you it's somewhere around 33 times rather than 200 times. Now, why should we keep the weight the same? That's because when money is gold, it's the unit of weight. A foot has been 12 inches in all of history. A yard is 3 feet. A meter is 100 centimeters. Those never change, otherwise technology would find a really hard time. So same with that, if we now hold the Australian dollar to 5 milligrams and never let it change, what will happen is that the governments then cannot issue endless amounts of deficits, because they have to back those deficits with real gold, which is costly. Right now, there is no limit on the governments and on the Reserve Bank to increase the base money supply, which they keep doing over a long time consistently. And even that 3% per year ends up becoming doubling prices over 25 years. If you have 10% every year, it'll be 10 times in 25 years. You can do the math and find out. And that now is the true cost of living crisis. House prices, rentals, fish and chips, a media beer, cappuccinos have not skyrocketed. If they've gone up at all, probably not. In gold weight terms, you look at the prices of gold, look at the prices of cappuccinos, of beer, or house prices even, and you will see there is no real inflation. It's the devaluation of the dollar that is creating this illusion. And of course, our salaries haven't kept pace with this devaluation. And as your salary rises, but not in line with the devaluation, progressive taxation takes even more from you. That's why we in the Libertarian Party have restricted the government from having debt in excess of 60% of their assets. We would also demand budget surpluses. We would remove the fiat ability of governments, in fact, the at will ability, that's fiat money. We would restrict them. And that's why you need more truth tellers like me in Parliament. And yes, Mr. Philip Lowe, I'm waiting to hear from you, regardless of who wins the federal election. This is a debate worth having.